Holmfirth appeared on television in 1972 when comedian and writer Barry Took made an episode of a BBC documentary called Having a Lovely Time, Barry Took at the Club. It was his visit to the area that inspired him to suggest Holmfirth as a location for summer wine. Alan J.W. Beall, producer for most of the summer wine episodes from 1982, had been to Holmfirth in 1981 to make a short film for a BBC show called You Must Be Joking. So later that year, when he was told he would take over Last of the Summer Wine, he thought going back to Holmfirth might be awkward. Fortunately, it seemed the people of Holmfirth had a sense of humour about the You Must Be Joking film. I think it is generally understood that a scene shot on location is not necessarily anywhere near the location that's being portrayed. Feature films often use other cities as stand-ins for American cities. In the case of Summer Wine, not all the location scenes are shot in Holmfirth, but most of them are nearby villages and towns, all made seamless with editing. Filming is always reliant on the weather, so sometimes the location had to be changed at short notice if the weather was bad in one place but there was clear sky somewhere else. Some of the roads used are cul-de-sacs or private roads. This minimised inconvenience to the public and meant locations were free from through traffic. When filming on or near public roads, the police normally arranged road closures. The lane past the location of Clegg's home from series 12 onwards is a dead end, but still some characters walk off or appear from that direction. Even Entwistle's van and Smiler with the handcart enter or leave that way. There is sometimes a street name sign for Moss Rise on the far end wall. It's a fake road name to reinforce the idea that the road's not a dead end. Barry and Glenda's home is in a cul-de-sac, but still some vehicles appear round the corner from the dead end. Some of the street names used in the script and seen on screen are fake. The sign for Donaldson Street is used for several different roads. Among the other fake street names are Berrybank Rise, Holmroyd, Pepworth Street, Townend Crescent and Hilltop Lane. Sometimes real street name signs are obscured by parked cars or overgrown grass and weeds. The studio sets do not necessarily resemble the interiors of the real buildings. Early sets were in BBC studios at BBC TV Centre Shepherd's Bush and in later series at Pinewood or Shepperton Studios. However, many of the pub interiors were shot on location in the real pubs. When filming the pilot, Mrs. Batty's home was originally intended to be at a different location, but the crew had to find an alternative at short notice. Nora's has now become one of the most famous front doors in the world. Compo's front door is below Nora's, and his stairs in the studio set are directly through his front door, so his stairs would lead up into Nora's lower floor. In Series 10, Compo's downstairs window gains a central stone column, and in Series 16 a second drain pipe appears next to Compo's window. It is sometimes misreported that Nora is Compo's landlady. There is nothing in any episode to suggest this is the case, otherwise she would be constantly nagging him to pay his rent. It is probably because he appears to live in her basement, but Compo's home is an underdwelling. It's like having a semi-detached house, but underneath instead of next door to its neighbour. There are hints in the script that they rent their homes from the council. While doing her daily chores, Nora often talks to Compo at his bedroom window. She looks up towards a higher window and he looks down. But we've no idea which window is supposed to be Compo's bedroom. The window we see him at might not be where you expect. We rarely see them both in shot at the same time in this scenario. In the December 1990 episode Barry's Christmas, although the shot from behind Nora looks like she's by her steps looking up at Compo in his bedroom, in reality she's on the lower path looking up at Compo in the window above the shop. This is the window used on most occasions for his bedroom. While Compo's affection for Nora is unrequited, another of Roy Clark's couples had similar bedroom window assignations. In Open All Hours, Albert Arkwright frequently pestered nurse Gladys Emanuel at her bedroom window. Doors were added to disguise the arched windows of the shop just beyond Nora and Compo's steps. Various signs and other items of junk were added to give the illusion that there was a motor workshop there. In the Series 24 episode All of a Florrie and the Christmas 2006 episode A Tale of Two Sweaters, the fake doors are not used, so you can see the shop windows. Nora and Compo's homes are immortalised in a resin diorama made by Danbury Mint, based on the Series 13 episode Pole Star. It shows Compo balancing on the wall while Nora, Foggy and Clegg watch. In Series 1 and 2, the name N.R. Beall is painted on the Café door. Although Sid and Ivy's surname is never mentioned, this is not their name. The local telephone directories from 1957 up to 1970 show N.R. Beall as the real occupant of the premises. The phone book shows Sid's Café had been a fish and chip shop up to 1970. It was then used as storage by the nearby hardware shop. When the summer wine crew came for Homefirth, the stock had to be moved elsewhere so it could be used as the café. Most of the café interior scenes were filmed in a studio. If you look carefully at the front of Sid's Café, it soon becomes clear it's something of a TARDIS. The building is not wide enough on the left of the window to accommodate the space behind the counter and the kitchen area behind the partition wall. On the studio set, the café kitchen has a window, but there's no window in the real building. The partition wall has a flue pipe, but there's no boiler on the other side. In Series 3, there's a door behind the counter that gives access to upstairs and the rear of the property. This door vanishes in later series, and sometimes there's apparently a door behind the right of the kitchen partition. The gap in the counter with the hinged flap changes position. Initially the flap is fixed to the wall on the right, but later this wall moves in line with the rest of the back wall and the flap is attached to a short run of counter. The Series 3 episode Mending Gordon's Leg shows a rare view of the exterior of the café at the rear. In the Series 20 episode How Errol Flynn Discovered the Scar of Nora Batty, we see the rear of the café again, but this time it's not the real café location. From Series 6, the café has a facelift and is painted white throughout. Over time it gets less dazzling and develops a more lived-in look again. Over the 37 years, other café changes include the café lettering on the window changes style and colour, the gum vending machines move, change and disappear, a mirror appears, moves, disappears, the position and size of the kitchen window changes, light switches change style and position, wrestling posters give way to posters for local events, and the tables and chairs change. It's been a real café since about 2006. The café is depicted in a resin diorama made by Danbury Mint based on the Series 6 episode From Wellies to Wetsuit. It shows Compo in a frogman suit while Foggy and Clegg are enjoying a cup of tea watched by Ivy. The library exterior is the Homefirth Methodist Church. A library opening times sign was added for authenticity. All the interior shots were filmed in studios. In early episodes we mostly see the library reading room, which was behind the two right-hand windows of the building, but the modern library was behind the left-hand windows. The modern library has a similar TARDIS quality to the café, as the frontage on the outside is not wide enough on the left of the window to accommodate the office area through the archway next to the counter on the studio set. While the various trios wandered across many hills and fields, there is one spot they kept returning to. There is no special reason for the characters to gravitate to this area, but for filming purposes this is an out-of-the-way spot that offers a variety of roads and tracks as well as background features, without causing too much inconvenience to the general public. It's also near some other often used locations. There are two tarmac roads, a long straight track that was then just about suitable for vehicles, and another track with a gradient that sloped away from the junction. This area was first used in the Series 6 episode A Bicycle Made for Three, when the trio are all on Clegg's bike and they crash here and then crash here again on their three-man bike. It then features in about 37 more episodes up to the end of the show in Series 31. This is also where Ogden Butterclough's runaway car nosedives into a ditch in the Series 8 episode Keeping Britain Tidy. Nora's mangle ends up here with Clegg, Compo and Seymour when it comes free from being towed in the Series 11 episode 3 Men and a Mangle. And Clegg's gas barbecue blows up and sets fire to Howard and Marina's bench in the Series 15 episode Where There's Smoke There's Barbecue. This land was offered for sale by auction in July 2022 and was purchased by a member of the summerwine.net online forum, who has tidied up the area to make it more suitable for fans to visit. Auntie's was the third second-hand shop after Dirk's in A Bicycle Made for Three and Dougie's in Tight Jeans and Metal Detector, both in Series 6. The first time we see Auntie Wainwright's shop in the Christmas 1988 special Crumbs, the front of the building was used without any modification, but the next time we see it in the December 1989 special, What Santa Brought for Nora, then the production crew had to build a fake front as the building had been modified. There is now brickwork between the door and the main window. You can see in subsequent episodes there's a framework from ground level to support the canopy. The doorway is flush with the brickwork, the real door is recessed, and fake stone steps are added to make access easier. The brick wall behind the fake window is disguised with a curtain, and the real window frame, with the glass removed, is made to look like a frame for displaying goods. The other ground floor window frames are painted to match the colour of the fake frontage and repainted again after filming.